Hi, this is Megan Quintero, and we have C.W. Tubbs joining us here. He's a new country artist, and he has a new single out. What's it called?
It's called Bartender Settle Me Up, because I can't seem to settle down.
All right. And it's been out on Spotify for about 6 weeks now?
It's actually been all over the internet stations and satellite radio. And real big thanks to radio station KCEG out of Colorado. They've been running my song every day, sometimes 5 times a day. And they last week they played their top 30 songs, and we were number 9.
Number 9?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
In 6 weeks. Well, so can you tell us a little bit about your single and how it came about?
Well, I was at a place called Montgomery's in Vail, Arizona. And the bartender, I think her name was Rhonda, asked one of the customers, would you like another drink? And that customer said, bartender, settle me up. And someone looked at me and said, Chuck, that sounds like a song. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of does. So I wrote it down and went home.
On a bar napkin.
On a bar napkin,
no
yeah. And I honestly have a drawer full of those things. But I came home, but this one rang with me for some reason, and I put it on my refrigerator so I'd see it. And a little while after being home, I went to the fridge, and there it was, and I was like, I gotta do something with that. And it was only a couple hours later, and I went back to Montgomery's, and I said, hey, Rhonda, listen to this. You're going all the way back to the story of when I was 12 years old, and being one that always sought out who created this song when I'd hear something I liked. I always just wanted to be a songwriter, and of course I wanted to be, on stage, and I wanted to be out there playing and performing. But the more I got into writing songs, I thought I'm fine if someone else records these songs. I just want to be a songwriter. And I'll be honest with you, Megan. When I heard that song on the radio, I said to myself, I guess I am now. Mm-hmm. So
it made it official.
It made it official, yeah.
Because you've been a songwriter your whole life. It was just
pretty much. I took a long break.
Solidified it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Kind of from Tucson, Arizona. I wasn't born in Tucson, but my family moved there when I was 3 years old, and grew up there, went to school there, attended the University of Arizona, and until I got to the University of Arizona, I was all my years of schooling, I was singing in the choir, and always interested in music.
And you told me earlier your dad's a musician, mm-hmm. right? What did he play? My
dad played guitar and sang, and he did a lot of session work around Nashville. He grew up around that area. Awesome. An amazing voice. I grew up wanting to sing like him, but knowing I never would. When he opened his mouth and sang, the walls swelled. That's how powerful his voice was.
Wow.
No, I'll never be like that. But I think he is shining down on me now and helping me out.
Your new single, Bartender Settle Me Up. So now it's playing on the radio. Mm-hmm. In different parts of the country, mm-hmm. for about 6 weeks now. Is that right?
I think that's been about right. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 weeks. So tell me how you felt the first time you heard your song on the radio.
Oh, it's almost impossible to describe the feeling, and if I try to recall it right now, I'm going to cry probably, but it's just unbelievable. I spoke with a musician friend of mine I've known for years, but he's moved away. I told him about it, and he was in a band that was on the radio, had a song on the radio, and he said, that feeling is just incredible. As musicians, it's what we dream of all of our life. I was at work one day, and I was walking by someone's office, and they had a satellite radio playing over their computer, and it came on that radio station, and I was like, everybody stop. stop what you're doing right now. That's
my song. Yeah. That's amazing. What a powerful feeling.
It was incredible.
That's
unbelievable.
Great. What musicians influenced you growing up, and what musicians influence you today?
Well, growing up, I was listening to a lot of rock music, and I played in some rock bands during my high school years. And I'd look on the album covers. I want to know who wrote the songs that I liked, and for some reason, that was always been in my brain. And so now, that I've kind of leaned more toward the alternative country side of things. I have my influences are like John Hyatt and John Prine, and of course Chris Christopherson, and Yeah, people like that.
Let's take it back a little bit. What was the first concert you ever attended?
Oh man, let's see. They sang "The Dawning of the Age of Aquarius." I can't. No, you probably wouldn't know them,
know.
but the Fifth Dimension, and it was at the U of A Stadium, and they were with Grand Funk Railroad, and the preacher's daughter took me to see that concert, and it was my very first concert. And I was like, "This is so cool!" Yeah.
Tell us about your music mission. Where is CW Tubbs going?
I don't want to just kind of quit and rest on my laurels with that song. So we're back in the studio. I'm working with SEMA Music in Tucson, and we're in the studio about every Tuesday night working on the next song, which is called "Does the Moon Shine as Bright Over Dallas?" We've gotten pretty far with it. I'm still need to find a fiddle player and a steel guitar player, but we're chasing those guys down too. So I think that'll be ready probably by the middle of next month, and we look forward to that being the next release, and hoping to get it on KCEG radio. And I know that they mentioned that they're looking forward to the next song as well. So we're really excited about that. That's kind of my immediate goal. And then once that's done, I think I'm going to try to turn my focus into putting the album together.
That's great.
I've got 8 songs ready to go on the album, and probably 6 new songs that I don't want to put them all on one album.
Have you thought about what you're going to call it? What you're going to call the album?
I was going to call it No Apostrophe. And there's a reason for that, because you know my last name. Not always, but sometimes people want to put an apostrophe in there. CUBB apostrophe S. And recently a friend of mine that grew up with our family, he made a mock-up of a guitar picks, and it said CWTUBB apostrophe S. And I said, "Pat, you've known our family all your life. There's no apostrophe." So I said, "But you gave me the name for my album."
That's great.
No apostrophe.
That is awesome. I like that a lot.
I think I might name my band that too.
No apostrophe. How many people ideally would you have in your band?
Well, when we recorded Bartender, I was playing with a band called Border Town, and there were 6 of us on that particular song, because we had keyboard player and saxophone player, and like really kind of, that I wrote that song, intro to that song, I wrote that on guitar, and I was saying it's got to come in really strong and really hard as a guitar hook. And the saxophone player said, "Let me try it," and he did it, and we were like, "That's magic. That's it. It's how it has to be." So.
And you said you're still looking for a fiddle player. Why is the fiddle important?
Because in "Does the Moon Shine as Bright," the next song, I wrote it to start with a hook that's played on the fiddle. I like when Bartender starts up, what the song is, and because it's so unique, especially with the way Michael played it on sax. And so I wanted to have something for the next song like that. Like as soon as it starts, what song is coming up. So it's really important that we find a good fiddle player. Yeah, and I've got some friends that I'm trying to get in the studio.
Well, good luck with everything. When do you think the album will be complete?
Well, I think that I'm hoping to have the next song out by probably the middle of July. And then once that's out, I think I'm going to really start to bear down and focus on putting the album together. There are some songs that I recorded more years ago than I probably want you to know, but some of them are actually of the quality, believe it or not, even though I recorded them years ago just sitting in front of a little recorder on my living room floor. There's a couple of them on there that I think I'll just leave the way they are to go on the album. So that saves some time there. And then I've got a couple of songs I need to finish up that I want to get on this album too.
So I know they say country music, you write about your dog, you write about love, you write about your truck.
Yeah.
Have you written about any of those things?
Not about a dog or a truck, but certainly about love. You know, a lot of songwriters, when you start out, that's what you're writing about. And it's usually about a breakup or a lost love or someone you hate. You know, I loved you, you broke my heart, die in a fire. Yeah. But I kind of tried to stay away from that. You know, I have some love ballads, and then I have a couple of fun ones. I write a lot of my songs from things that I hear people say. For example, one of the ones that I want to finish up and get on this album, I've been carrying around with me for many, many years, because I was visiting my dad in Tennessee, sitting on the porch, and one of the farm neighbors from the area came walking up the drive, and he looked real sad, and my dad asked him what was wrong, and he said, well, you know, the crops are dying, and I'm really kind of tired of trying. And my dad said, listen here, son, yonder come a cloud. And then in Tennessee, that means it's going to rain.
Right.
Well, I kept that in my head the rest of my life. And I've got it, and I've got a song put together for it, and I want to finish it. Yeah, right. Yonder come a cloud, come a rain, come a thundercloud. I can feel it coming any day. It's just, I write songs mostly from what I hear people say.
From what you experience.
Yeah,
naturally.
and yeah.
Naturally. I know that your dad has passed away, but Mom's still with us.
Yeah.
So how did she feel when she first heard your song on the radio?
Well, you know, I guess it was released on Spotify first, and yeah, as you know, I go to church with my mom every Sunday, and the week that happened, I walked in on Sunday, and I said, Mom, come here, I want to show you something. And I held out my cell phone, and I had it already on there, and I pushed it, and it started to play. I said, that's me, Mom, on the radio. And she started crying.
Oh.
And then I did, and then it was all...
Everybody started crying. It was a happy tears, tears.
Yeah.
If you got stuck in an elevator with 3 celebrities or musicians, who would they be? What would you tell them?
You know, I'd have to say 2 of the people I mentioned earlier, John Prine and Chris Christopherson, and probably Lucinda Williams. She's as cool as it gets. Probably want to throw in another one, Rob Thomas, now that I've had a chance to speak with him. But
and what would you guys talk about?
Oh, well, I'd want to ask Lucinda about some of the songs she wrote. And then I'd ask Chris if I could play him when they do the movie of his life.
Wow, you've really thought about this.
Well, it was something I was kind of something I wanted to do when I was in high school.
You mentioned Rob Thomas. You met him recently. How did you run into him?
I went to the ASCAP. It's called I Create Music. It's a convention they have every year in LA. And he happened to be one of the speakers, and he stayed afterwards and talked to people. He was on a panel, and then everyone else got up and left, and he walked and sat down at the front of the stage. He's just a great guy. And, he had some really cool stuff to say. He said, one of the things that stuck in my head, and it's a philosophy I've always had as well, when something comes into you and it's good, it's being given to you. And it's coming from someplace else. He said he doesn't take credit for those great songs he wrote. But he also said when that happens, we have a responsibility to share it.
Wow. What was the first song you ever wrote, and how old were you?
Well, I was 12 years old, and Sunday afternoon, we'd all gotten home from church and had lunch, and I was laying on the living room floor, and my dad was watching something on TV that I thought was just completely boring, and I said, I'm going to go in my room and write a song. And he kind of chuckled a little bit and said, well, good luck with that, son. It's not as easy as you think it is. And so I went in there and I just killed time, and I actually did get right. I did try to do the best I could. And a little while later, I was standing in front of the mirror in the bathroom, combing my hair, getting ready to go back to church, and I was singing the song, and I noticed he was standing behind me, and he said, "Is that what you came up with?" I said, "Well, yeah." And he said, "It's pretty good, son."
What a compliment coming from your dad.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
From that moment, I was like, I kind of want to do more of that.
Can you still sing it?
I can only remember the end of the chorus, the hook, where it was oil. It was something about you and I are like oil and water just don't mix.
Oh, that's amazing. And how did your mom feel about your songwriting?
Well, you know, she's probably my biggest fan. My sister says that she is, but you know, my mom supported my music interest all my life. One night she sat me down at the kitchen table and she, I guess she must have felt like I didn't really have a direction for after high school and what I want. So she asked me, "What is it you really want to do?" And I said, "I just want to be on stage in front of 60,000 people, Mom." And she said, "If that's what you want, I'll do everything I can to help you get there."
And she's always supported that.
Always.
That's
She's a great lady.
That's great. So you were about 12 years old when you started writing. Yeah. Were you also playing the guitar at that time?
You know, he bought me a guitar for Christmas that year, and he taught me as much as he could. And I never really learned much on guitar until I got into high school and started taking it more seriously. But yeah, and I had this one little guitar. It's a nylon string, and that's what I write all my songs on. If anything ever happened to that, I'd probably have to stop being a songwriter.
Stop writing?
Yeah.
Now, do you still have the original guitar that you got when you were 12?
No, it was
it?
Sold in a yard sale somewhere.
Like all guitars should go. That's the way.
It was a Sears special or something.
And you said you grew up in church. You go to church with Mom every Sunday. She's a founder.
Yes, she is.
Founders of the church.
Yeah, they built that church.
Did you sing in the church growing up?
Oh my gosh, you know, I did. You know, I'd been singing in choirs all my life in school, and then it came time for me to join the church choir, and I sang bass, and so did my dad. And standing next to him was at once exhilarating and petrifying because he's so good. And but we sang a special at one of the Christmas programs together, and that was just a beautiful thing.
And you still sing to Mom? What's her favorite song?
She likes a song that I wrote that was actually from a female perspective, and it came from something that a gal I was dating said to me as I was leaving her house one day, and said, it's called "You Only Say You Love Me When You're Walking Away." I was like, oh my gosh, I need a guitar right now, and I drove home as fast as I could, and but that's Mom's favorite actually. And then she said her second favorite is "Does the Moon Shine As Bright."
Oh, I can't wait to hear "Does the Moon Shine As Bright."
I can't wait for you to hear it.
Great. What is one important thing you wish everyone could know about you or your music?
That I try to have some sort of a message in my songs, and hopefully even some of the sad love ballads that I write, hopefully will bring something, some sort of a good feeling to someone. And what I want people to know about me is that I just want to keep doing this as long as I can, and if I ever make any money off of these songs, I want to give it back.
It's really cool. Thanks so much for joining us today, CW. I look forward to all your singles that are coming out, and I wish you luck, and we'll listen out for you on the radio. And
good.
We look forward to your CD.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.